Live from New Delhi, you're watching DD India Live, India's voice to the world. I'm Tanvi Taneja. Coming up in the next 30 minutes. Prime Minister Narendra Modi greeted with a 21-gun salute in Jeddah. His two-day official Saudi Arabia visit set to strengthen cooperation across multiple sectors. US Vice President J.D. Vance says US-India can accomplish much more together, and President Trump wants both US and India to grow. Terrorists attacked tourists in Jammu and Kashmir's Pahalgam, at least 12 injured. Prime Minister Modi calls Home Minister Shah from Saudi Arabia, asks him to take suitable measures and visit the spot. Hamas delegation heads to Egypt's Cairo to discuss new ideas for Gaza truce. Israel demands Hamas be disarmed, which the group rejects. And Russia ready to consider a proposal by Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky for a halt to civilian attacks by both sides, but adds no concrete plans at the moment. Prime Minister Narendra Modi on Tuesday landed in Jeddah on a two-day state visit to Saudi Arabia at the invitation of Crown Prince and Prime Minister Mohammed bin Salman. Prime Minister Modi was welcomed with a ceremonial 21-gun salute on his arrival. Prime Minister Modi was warmly received by Deputy Governor of Makkah, Prince Saud bin Mishal bin Abdulaziz Al Saud, Saudi's Commerce Minister Majid bin Abdullah Al Kasabi, and Mayor of Jeddah, Saleh Ali Al Turki. Earlier, in a special gesture, Royal Saudi Arabia fighter planes escorted Prime Minister Narendra Modi's plane as it entered Saudi airspace. Prime Minister Narendra Modi, along with Crown Prince and the Prime Minister of Saudi Arabia, Mohammed bin Salman, will co-chair the second leaders' meeting of the India-Saudi Arabia Strategic Partnership Council. Later, on arrival at the hotel, chants of Modi Modi resonated as the Indian diaspora welcomed Prime Minister Narendra Modi. The Indian community gave a traditional and vibrant welcome to the Indian Prime Minister. The song "Ae Watan" resonated as Prime Minister witnessed the performances of the diaspora. And DD India's Amritpal Singh joins us from Jeddah now. Amrit, this is Prime Minister Narendra Modi's third visit to Saudi Arabia in 9 years. Tell us, what are the reasons behind this increasing closeness of ties between India and Saudi Arabia, indeed the transformation in their relations under Prime Minister Modi?
Third visit to Saudi Arabia, you're right, in 9 years, 2016, 2019, and now two to Riyadh. This is the first one to Jeddah, which is essentially the Mumbai, if you like, to draw a comparison. It's basically the commercial hub and a port city. He is the first Prime Minister in 40 years or 4 decades to visit Jeddah. The signaling is that the focus of the talks will be on investment and building, strengthening the business-to-business ties between the two countries. Trade, connectivity, investment. As you know, the Crown Prince, when he had visited India, in 2019, the two sides had inked a deal under which $100 billion of investment by Saudi Arabia into India in various sectors was looked at, and there were about, I think, 12 odd MOUs which were signed at that time, which included investment in oil and gas sector, in refineries. So they'll be doing stock taking of that when the Prime Minister in a little while is received by the Crown Prince at the palace here in Jeddah and given a ceremonial guard of welcome first, and then the two leaders go in for the second meeting of the Strategic Partnership Council. So investment, how especially in the oil and gas sector, refineries, that would be looked at. that, looking at how investment in other sectors like infrastructure, pharmaceuticals, IT can be looked in, and joint development and work, production of munitions, at least, if not larger defense equipment, and also from the Indian side, investments into Saudi Arabia, which right now stand at about close to about $10 billion, and the huge companies like L&T, Wipro, Tata Motors, etc. already have a sizable presence here. How that can be scaled up, that will be one part. Increasing the trade between the two countries will be other part. And the most significant part, Tanvi, would be the focus on terrorism. Given what's happened today in Kashmir, and the long-standing stand of India that terrorism is a scourge which all nations have to be on the same page and fight together if it has to be defeated. Saudi Arabia understands India's point of view. The last time around, when in October 19, if you look at the language of the documents signed then, when Prime Minister had come visiting Riyadh, terrorism was a key part of it. In 2023, when MBS came to Delhi to attend the G20 and was also on a state-level visit, after the G20, terrorism figured prominently in the talks. It very clearly stated non-interference in the internal affairs of another country. The countries who are supporting interference in the internal affairs of our country using terrorism as a tool, I think the signaling from Jeddah would be very clear. It's no secret that Saudi has been a strong supporter of Pakistan throughout. But things are changing now. Your question was, what is the reason for growing partnership, for strengthening of the relationship? One is, of course, what I said, trade, investment, economic opportunities that India offers as it grows. It's being an ally on the world stage. You sit on the same page. But now there is a shift happening on the strategic part as well. At one point in time, Pakistan was perceived by the Islamic world as the nuclear umbrella of the Islamic world. Now, key players of the Islamic world, which include Saudi Arabia, understand that this scourge needs to be defeated, and what countries like India have been saying consistently all through needs to be taken seriously. Tanvi.
Yeah, defeated collectively indeed. Thank you very much, Amritpal Singh, for that analysis. All right. So as Amritpal was saying, at least 12 tourists were injured in a terrorist attack in the Union Territory of Jammu and Kashmir's Pahalgam region on Tuesday. The incident took place in the Baisara Valley, where unidentified gunmen opened fire on a group of tourists visiting the area. The injured were evacuated with the help of locals and airlifted by authorities. All have been admitted to Pahalgam Hospital and are stated to be stable. Prime Minister Narendra Modi also held a telephonic conversation with Home Minister Amit Shah on the Pahalgam terror attack and asked him to take all suitable measures. Prime Minister Modi also asked the Home Minister to visit the site. Later, Prime Minister Modi wrote on social media platform X, and I quote him here, "I strongly condemn the terror attack in Pahalgam, Jammu and Kashmir. Condolences to those who have lost their loved ones. I pray that the injured recover at the earliest. All possible assistance is being provided to those affected. Those behind this heinous act will be brought to justice. They will not be spared. Their evil agenda will never succeed. Our resolve to fight terrorism is unshakable and it will get even stronger." Unquote. Home Minister Amit Shah left for Srinagar to hold an urgent security review meeting with all the agencies. Taking to social media site X, Home Minister Amit Shah wrote that he is anguished by the terror attack on tourists in Pahalgam, Jammu and Kashmir. He wrote his thoughts are with the family members of the deceased. Those involved in this dastardly act of terror will not be spared, and we will come down heavily on the perpetrators with the harshest consequences. He further added that he briefed Prime Minister Narendra Modi about the incident and held a meeting with the concerned officials via video conferencing. Security forces, meanwhile, have launched a search operation following reports of gunfire. The incident comes amid a surge in tourist arrivals in Kashmir ahead of the annual Amarnath Yatra beginning July the 3rd. On the terror attack, Defence Minister Rajnath Singh also took to X and wrote, deeply anguished by the news of the terrorist attack in Pahalgam, Jammu and Kashmir. This dastardly attack on innocent civilians is an act of cowardice and highly reprehensible. My thoughts and prayers are with the innocent victims and their families. DD India's Shabir Dar now joins us from Srinagar, Jammu and Kashmir. What is the latest that you have on the condition of the wounded and the casualties, if any?
Yeah, the wounded are being treated in the hospital in Pahalgam, and the critical have been shifted to the Government Medical College facility in the Anantnag district headquarters. And we're seeing that, all the top, security force officials and the civil administration have rushed to the Pahalgam area where this incident happened, and we're being told that a group of around 10 to 20 or 30 tourists were in the meadow, which is just near this Gulmarg valley. So usually the tourists go there on horse carts or by foot. This is a forest area where tourists usually go for for the retreat and for enjoying their daytime. So the terrorists came in 2 to 3 numbers. In the army fatigues, they attacked the tourists, and we're being told that the casualty number may increase because right now, as we are being told, that 10 to 12 tourists are injured, and a few among them are critical, which are being treated in the hospital. So obviously, as we are being given to understand by the sources, that the injured count and the death count may unfortunately go up because a lot of tourists were there in the Baisaram meadow in Pahalgam. So this terror incident has been widely condemned in Kashmir because the tourism is a mainstay of the Kashmir economy, and people are deeply involved in tourism, and the tourism ecosystem provides not only employment but sustenance to a lot of youth who are involved in tourism activity. And attacks like these, which affect the tourism, has a wide condemnation in Kashmir. We have seen that both the religious and political leaders, be it the chief minister, the lieutenant governor, and the local religious leaders, have widely condemned this terrorist incident, given the fact that they are seeing this is the attack on the livelihood of the local people in Kashmir.
Yes, Shabir,
the army, police, and others. Yes.
Yes, will today's incident in any way affect the Amarnath Yatra?
You see, this is a challenge for the security agencies because we have seen Kashmir, having the huge rush of tourists this season, and attacks like these will definitely have an impact on the tourism season. But the Amarnath Yatra, which is going to start in July 3rd, it will go definitely under heavy security cover now, and security forces will have to ensure that the Amarnath Yatra, the annual pilgrimage Yatra, will go the incident free. So obviously a big challenge for the security agencies because they have to ensure that no such incident occurs again in Kashmir. Right now the focus is on seeing that the terrorists who are involved in this incident are brought to justice. That is why we are seeing major anti-terror operation is underway in Pahalgam right now, because a lot of troops have been pushed in, be the police, army, and paramilitary have already launched a combing and search operation in the area to ensure that the terrorists who are involved in this incident are brought to justice very soon. And we have heard the Lieutenant Governor of Jammu and Kashmir saying that the anti-terror operation has been, massive anti-terror operation has been launched, and the terrorists involved in this incident will be brought to justice very soon.
Thank you, Shabir. Shabir Dar reporting from Srinagar, Jammu and Kashmir. Still to come on this edition of DD India Live. US to impose heavy tariffs of up to 3,521% on solar panels imports from Southeast Asia. Iran's foreign minister to visit China ahead of a third round of nuclear talks between Tehran and Washington. And Volkswagen takes center stage at the Shanghai Auto Show, eyes a global market shift.
I have seen cinema evolve across generations from tradition to technology. Waves brings all of it together on one global stage for the world to witness. See you at World Audiovisual Entertainment Summit Waves 2025 in Mumbai.
Connecting creators, connecting countries. Waves 2025.
You're watching DD India Live. I am Tanvi Taneja. US Vice President J.D. Vance, who is currently in India on a 4-day visit, arrived in Jaipur on Tuesday for a day-long trip. Vance addressed a gathering in Jaipur and emphasized the growing importance of US-India relationship. He said that US President Donald Trump is committed to fostering closer ties between the two countries with the aim of ensuring mutual growth and prosperity. He said US and India are working together to finalize a trade deal soon based on certain common goals.
Their friends to countries like India is to tell them that they're not allowed to grow. Well, President Trump rejects these failed ideas. He wants America to grow, he wants India to grow, and he wants to build a future with our partners all over the globe. And this is the world that America seeks to create with you. We want to build a bright new world, one that's constantly innovating, one that's helping people to form families, making it easier to build, invest, and trade together in pursuit of common goals.
Meanwhile, the US on Monday announced its intention to impose tariffs of up to 3,521% on solar panels imported from Southeast Asia. This move is aimed at countering the alleged Chinese subsidies and dumping in the sector. The tariffs on companies from Cambodia, Thailand, Malaysia and Vietnam will still need to be ratified at a meeting of the International Trade Commission in June. The decision unveiled on Monday comes after anti-dumping and countervailing duty investigations filed around a year ago by several US and other solar manufacturers. Those companies took aim at unfair practices that were said to have weighed on the US domestic solar market, particularly raising concern over Chinese headquartered companies operating out of Southeast Asian countries. The ongoing Russia-Ukraine conflict shows no signs of slowing despite intensifying diplomatic efforts. Russia has expressed a willingness to consider Ukrainian President Zelensky's proposal to halt attacks on civilian infrastructure. Meanwhile, representatives from Ukraine, UK, France and the US are set to meet in London on Wednesday to discuss a ceasefire following last week's talks in Paris.
As Russia and Ukraine continue to bomb each other's territories, efforts to find a diplomatic solution are intensifying. As both sides face mounting pressure to show progress towards ending the conflict, Russia has stated it is ready to consider a proposal by Ukrainian President Zelensky to halt attacks on each other's civilian infrastructure. However, Kremlin said there is no concrete plans at the moment for talks between Russia and Ukraine.
With desire and openness of Ukrainian side, certain steps should be taken to remove legal obstacles in the way of such contacts. President Putin repeatedly talked about his readiness to settle the conflict in the way of negotiations. There are no concrete plans. There is President Putin's confirmation to discuss this matter, taking into account experience of the Easter ceasefire.
Representatives from Ukraine, the UK, France and the US will meet in London on Wednesday to continue talks on ceasefire negotiations in the ongoing conflict. This follows last week's meeting in Paris, where US Secretary of State Marco Rubio outlined Washington's plan to end the war.
Today was almost entirely dedicated to working with partner in various formats. We are preparing meeting for Wednesday with partner from Europe, the UK, France, Germany, and from the United States. These meetings can bring us closer to a ceasefire and a real lasting peace. Ukraine maintains its proposal not to strike at least civilian infrastructure, and we are expecting a clear response from Moscow.
Both Russia and Ukraine have accused each other of violating the energy agreement and Easter truce, continuing strikes without cease. Meanwhile, Russia has advanced in the border region, recapturing new areas. On Tuesday, Ukraine said Russia launched 2 guided aerial bombs on Zaporizhzhia, killing a woman and damaging residential buildings and infrastructure. Bureau Report, DT India.
Now, days after rejecting Israel's ceasefire proposal, a Hamas delegation heads to Cairo to discuss new ideas for the Gaza truce. Israel demands Hamas to be disarmed, which the group rejects. Meanwhile, pressure mounts for the release of remaining Israeli hostages in Hamas's captivity.
Diplomacy is gaining ground in the Israel-Hamas conflict as a Hamas delegation left for Egypt's Cairo for talks to secure a ceasefire in Gaza. The renewed push comes after Hamas last week rejected Israel's proposal for a 45-day ceasefire in exchange for the release of 10 hostages held in the enclave. Nearly 59 people who were taken hostage by Hamas during the October 7th attack are still believed to be in Gaza. The latest round of discussions is also happening a day after newly appointed US ambassador to Israel urged Hamas to accept a deal that would secure the release of hostages in exchange for the entry of humanitarian aid into Gaza. Pressure is also mounting on Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. Thousands of protesters took to the streets in Tel Aviv calling on the Israeli government to strike an agreement with Hamas.
My son was kidnapped from Nahal Oz. He was defending this country, and this country is obligated to defend him, to bring him back. He is badly injured from 7 October.
Meanwhile, an Israeli drone strike in Lebanon killed Hussein Atawi, a top commander from a Hamas-aligned militant group. The Israeli army said that Atawi was involved in planning and advancing terrorist activities from Lebanon into Israeli territory, targeting IDF soldiers on the northern border. Bureau Report, DD India.
Iran will discuss the Tehran-Washington talks with China during the foreign minister's visit, Abbas Araghchi's visit to Beijing. The spokesperson for the Ministry of Foreign Affairs said on Tuesday relations between the two countries can play a constructive role in any development, said Ismail Baghei. He added that the fundamental demand in any negotiation is the lifting of illegal and oppressive sanctions. Iran's Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi will visit China on Tuesday ahead of a third round of nuclear talks between Tehran and Washington scheduled for Saturday in Oman.
Our fundamental demand in any negotiation is the lifting of illegal and oppressive sanctions. Lifting of sanctions in a way that has tangible and fully effective results.
This week, the eyes of the auto world are on Shanghai, where the world's largest auto trade show allows for a glimpse into the future. Among the exhibitors is Germany's Volkswagen. Lars Holter of Deutsche Welle joins me from Berlin on the story. Lars, what makes Volkswagen's exhibit in Shanghai so special this year?
Thanks for having me. Well, in a way, it's of course the new models they're showing, but all car makers do that, don't they? Now, underlying the Volkswagen presentation, however, is one particular change from previous years. All you see in Shanghai has nothing at all to do with Wolfsburg. Now, Wolfsburg in the German state of Lower Saxony is the worldwide headquarters of the company. It's a factory town. As a matter of fact, the city was founded in the 30s as the home of the company. And to this day, Germany's largest car maker is pretty much the only game in town. Every Volkswagen model from the old Beetle on was conceived here, and that includes all those models specifically made for foreign markets. Even though these cars are usually quite different from those sold at the home market, they all started here, but not anymore. What Volkswagen is exhibiting in Hall 5.1 of the Shanghai Auto Show is built on an entirely new platform. It's called a CSP, or China Scalable Platform. It was entirely thought up and developed in China. China is where the cars are assembled and where the software is sourced. So what they're showing there is essentially cars made by a German company, but they're not German cars.
So why is Volkswagen making such a radical change, Lars?
There are many reasons for this. First of all, China has long been Volkswagen's largest international market. Also, this particular market has slowed down, and dangerously so. German-made cars used to be big in China, but Volkswagen and other brands have long been passed now by BYD and some other Chinese firms. And one reason for this is that the Chinese customers are looking at cars with a different set of eyes. They have a different philosophy about cars, about software and connectivity, which are more important than they are in Europe or the US or other Western markets in general. Even social media plays into this. We've all seen these crazy car entertainment systems where karaoke is built into the cars. That's hard to get from a Western standpoint, but it's a fact of life in China. Also, and maybe even more important, lead times are so much shorter in China. Developing a new platform for a new series of cars takes 30 months, and it's 50 months in Germany, according to Volkswagen, and that's barring any delays that can way extend that time frame. Just look at the latest platform developed here, the Scalable Systems Platform, or SSP, that was supposed to come out in 2026, and it's not expected anymore until 2029.
Okay, Lars, interesting analysis there. Thank you very much for joining us. Lars Holter reporting from DW Berlin. And on to some IPL action. Kolkata Knight Riders captain Ajinkya Rahane became the 6th player to score 500+ fours in the history of the Indian Premier League. Rahane achieved the feat after hammering 5 fours during his half-century in the match against Gujarat Titans. The seasoned batter has hit 502 fours in 193 matches, enjoying the exclusive club featuring Shikhar Dhawan, Virat Kohli, David Warner, Rohit Sharma and Suresh Raina. Rahane was the lone fighter during KKR's defeat against Gujarat Titans. As a result, defending champions slipped to the 7th position on the points table. That's all for this edition of DD India Live. Do let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. Connect with us on our different social media handles at DD India Live. And you can also download our DD India mobile app for quick news and updates on the go. We'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I'm Tanvi Taneja. From all of us here in New Delhi, thank you for watching. Namaskar.